Everybody, welcome back to another episode of DejaVue, your favorite Vue podcast you just don't know yet. Or maybe, well, this time you really should. If you haven't checked out all the old episodes, take a look. We're quite some episodes in already. Looking forward to double digits very soon. And yeah, Michael and I hosting that usually. Michael's not here today because he is still on paternity leave with his newborn. So as usual, best of success, and we'll welcome in here very soon back again at DejaVue. And in the meantime, we had some amazing guests already, and there is one more wonderful person joining the podcast today in line with all the amazing other people. He is a public speaker, he is a team lead, and a soon-to-be pilot. So welcome, Marc Backes, to the DejaVue podcast. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Alex, how's it going? Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for joining. I'm really curious about all the talking points for today. Anything that I missed? Anything you want to say that I forgot about?
No, you're on the dot.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I remember last time we saw each other was probably at DevRel, like in person.
In DevRel, yeah. Vue.js Amsterdam, DevRel, yeah.
Exactly.
That's about it.
Where you gave a talk as well, because you're doing strong with public speaking.
Thanks.
So, I mean, that's pretty amazing. Plus, the upcoming talk at .js in Paris will also be pretty nice. So,
yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about that one because I think it's a little bit more professional than like what I'm used to. Like I'm more like casual conference, but I think this is a little bit upper notch. So. I will see. I will try to do my best to fulfill the expectations.
I'm more than sure you will. Yeah, I understand. It's like a little bit of a different like frame, a little bit of different setting, but
yeah.
You will do great, more than sure. And if everybody,
it's not again just between friends or between people that know each other, like it is usually at Vue.js Amsterdam.
That's true.
More comfortable. So stepping out of the comfort zone with this one, but looking forward to it.
But that's also great. I mean, like doing the next step, not only, I mean, I know it for myself, not only being the Vue.js bubble in a way. It's always nice to meet new people there, of course. And if someone on the audience joins .js in Paris very soon, then you'll also see Marc live in person.
Oh, yeah. If you go there, just come say hi. It's the next conference I will be at.
Perfect. Yeah, looking forward to that. I unfortunately won't be there, but I'll go to VueConf US very soon. So,
cool.
Yeah, that will also be fun. And I hope then at some point we'll see each other in person again.
Yeah, I hope so. Where is VueConf US this year?
In New Orleans, like it was last year.
New Orleans, oh yeah. I always have huge FOMO, but I can't justify going there just for the Vue conference.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I'm very happy that I was chosen. And once again, after 2020, I mean, I think I submit almost every year. And of course, there was COVID, so not that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very, very happy to be one of the chosen ones that has the honor to speak there again. So
awesome. Yeah. Congrats on that.
Thank you. But we don't want to talk too much about conferences today, at least not where I'm going. It's more interesting where you go. And I think we can start with maybe going all the way back, a little bit of history. And maybe we'll start at a starting point of your, let's say, coding journey. So how do you start programming?
I started programming in high school, actually, when here in Luxembourg, I don't know how is it in other countries, when you are around 15, 16, you can choose a way you want to go, like mechanics, electronics, computer science, natural sciences, languages, whatever. And I was between electronics, but maybe computer science. And I went into the computer science, and I really liked it. It was very broad, like network stuff, computer programming stuff, and I really liked programming there. So in university, I went the programming way. So information sciences in bachelor, and a master in how was it called, embedded systems. I never did anything with embedded systems, but it was nice doing the master in that. It's interesting. But yeah, after university, I had the huge chance that I knew someone that knew someone. So I ended up being a director of software development in a university in Mexico. So a person I knew, her father was the owner, or is still the owner of that university, and they were looking for someone to modernize their workflow. So it was all in paper. like inscribing students, and all of that was still in paper.
Really?
This was 2012, I think.
Crazy.
2012, yeah. And I had no idea about web development, so I learned on the go. That time, Ruby on Rails version 2 back then.
Yeah.
So yeah, so back when Greg Pollack did the intro for Rails for Zombies, and he did the course. I learned actually with him. I learned Rails.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah. I did that for 2 years. Then I started a little bit the entrepreneur route. So I left that job and I started going to an incubator because I did a hackathon. I got first place there, and the first place was being paid or having like the scholarship, so to say, to go to the incubator. So it was 3 months or 4 months of like courses and iterating ideas and stuff. And there were a few things that came out of there. We developed a few things, a few ideas, and one thing got to Silicon Valley. So a personal safety app, without going too much into detail, but that has a lot of potential. Then I ran out of money. What happened after that, I will tell you. But we also had a food delivery app, which was actually going great. Just one of my co-founders left, and I just sort of didn't find another one, and I lost interest in it. So, but it was because back then in Mexico, in the city where I was living there was not a lot of that going on. So it was... some people were like, oh my God, I don't need this. Restaurants were like, yeah, I have all the business I can use. But others were very happy, like, oh my God, yeah, modernization, please.
Wow. I mean, okay, so this sounds already like quite a journey in a couple of years. So going from graduating university to moving to Mexico from Luxembourg, right?
Yeah.
Then being there the director of tech, let's say.
Yeah.
And wow, and also like modernizing workflows that are all on paper. I can also imagine the people were very happy eventually.
Oh yeah, and it was such an interesting job, right? So the first few months were just analyzing requirements. By the way, I didn't really speak Spanish back then. I learned it on the go. I just had a basic Spanish course in university. So I had a lot of people helping me with that, of course, but it was, adventurous, let's say. But it was very, very interesting getting to know all the requirements and also building the system. And it ended up being quite complex. So I became quite good at solving complex data flows and that sort of stuff.
That makes sense. I mean, I can imagine, like, I remember from my German university where I finally graduated a month ago or something. Nice. Thanks. Yeah. It was about time. I studied for almost 10 years. So yeah. But I remember also there, like the workflows and these forms and so on. And I still, there is no, like, for some things there's an online portal, but at least I can fill out the form or the PDF, which is another crazy file format, of course, like on PC, and I don't have to like print it and scan it again. I can just send it over. So that's good, at least something. But yeah, and I mean that in a foreign language that you like didn't speak fluently at that point. That's once again yet another challenge.
Yeah, and the software was very like complete and working in each other. So it had like inscribing the students, the teachers, assigning semesters to the student. So automatically he gets enrolled in the courses. The teachers get assigned a course, then the teacher can grade the students. The student can grade the teacher after the end of the year. And there was also an event management and all of that working together. So it was amazingly fun working on that as a first real job, let's say.
Like, did you work on it all by yourself, or did you have like help from the programming side?
Yeah, I started by myself, and I got some help with that, mostly, or not only, volunteer students that were like, oh yeah, I want to work with this in order to get the scholarship in university. So they worked with me in exchange for having free tuition, which was also nice. Yeah,
that sounds like a win-win in the end, indeed. Cool. Okay, and then you said, okay, we had your job at the university, and then you became a startup founder. So what made you leave the director position there?
I always had this idea, oh yeah, I want to do something more. I want to do my own business, something like that. And we just participated actually with the team that we had in the university. We were participating as 4 people in the hackathon, right? And there we won the first place, which had a scholarship for this incubator. And I was like, yeah, this is like almost like a sign, right? I wanted to do something else. And the software was running more or less. There was not much more to add to it. It was stable. So I thought like, yeah, why not do it like right? It's a great chance to see what is there, like how is entrepreneurship like.
Absolutely. And now that you had also the means to it, you don't have to worry about, okay, how do I pay myself, or like the other people from the team, or like investor topic. I mean, you were good for a little bit, so you could start like pursuing the ideas.
Yeah. And actually one of the ideas we had, it was like a digital, or well, not a digital, a technological pill box. So let's say you have a person that needs to take pills and they are like not so good managing the pills, and so it tells them when to take them. It alerts a caretaker when they took it, if they didn't take it, and to see if everything is right. So to like manage that a little bit, but with a nice thought through device. And the thing there was, we registered for a grant, for a government grant. Mm-hmm. And in all the country, around for, I think it was 30,000 projects, there were 3 projects selected that got the grant. And my project got the grant.
Wow.
An equivalent of $250,000. So it was 5,000 something pesos.
Really cool.
And I lost it all.
Wait! You lost it all? No, what happened?
Well, I didn't lose it as much as it has been taken from me in a very cruel way. So in this incubator, right, there were like other people, and we were like, oh yeah, let's do this project. And I was like, yeah, in order to register for the grant, you need to have like a certain visa stand, like to be in the country like as resident. And my visa was like just in between statuses. So, let's register the grant in the name of this person. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, we got to know each other in the 3 months or the 4 months that the course took. And then, her family took off with the money. Never saw her again.
Crazy. So basically they stole it. Let's say
they stole it. Yeah.
From a legal perspective, definitely questionable. It was on their name, but oh wow.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, getting selected like 3 out of 30,000, or how many projects is crazy accomplishment, and it's so nice. But damn it.
Yeah, it sucked big time. Yeah. But I learned a very, very important lesson. Never leave out a written agreement about this kind of stuff. So
especially not at that amount.
The hard way.
Yeah.
Not for that amount.
Okay.
Not for that amount. Yeah.
And so then the big money that would have come in was gone, and
all gone.
Yes. So back to square one, I guess, and then you continued doing the startup with.
Yeah, I continued with some different startup ideas, one that made it to Silicon Valley. And then I eventually ran out of money because I didn't really have a job. I didn't have income. Yeah. None of my projects made money. So I looked for freelance positions, and a company from Germany contacted me because I was looking among friends. Back then it was Facebook. Like, does anyone has a remote job for me? And like someone wrote me like, oh yeah, I'm also from Luxembourg, but working in this German company. Crazy coincidence. You went to the same school as I.
That's cool.
Just 1 year before. Crazy coincidence. Yeah. And he contacted me. Oh yeah, let's talk. And I did like some small jobs for them. It started with, they had a chat, and it was mobile friendly. So they want to make it mobile friendly, and I helped them out with the CSS, like for like €200 job, something like that. And yeah, that evolved. Oh yeah, like let's do this, let's do that. I got more projects, I got more involved. I went to Germany a few times until I ended up moving there for 2 years.
But before it was still Mexico, right? So you had like all the time zone issues.
Yeah, I was still working from time zone issues. Yeah, so I had the meetings with them in my morning, in their afternoon, evening. It wasn't ideal. we were working there at this project, and it was all legacy code, like real legacy code, like 20-year-old legacy code with Perl.
With Perl, wow.
With Perl, I modernized it a little bit with PHP, and it had jQuery, of course.
Yeah, must have.
And I also went to conference during the time I was there, and there I took a workshop of Vue.js, and I was like, oh man, if we had this in our app, man, that would like change everything, because the whole development process was insane. It was like uploading files to SFTP, that sort of stuff. That's how it worked back in the day.
It's still, for some companies, still today, unfortunately. Like I know some who still exactly do that with like CI/CD. No. We just pushed it up. It's fine. Also, version control, not a thing.
Yeah. I introduced version control there as well.
Very good.
And then I was like, oh man, like I tried to push like more modern tech there, and we just didn't have the time, right? And then I decided, I wanted to do something else. I wanted to pursue the route of just learning new things. This was 2016 maybe, and I learned Vue.js, Node.js, all that cool stuff, Sass, which was a bigger thing back then than it is now. But so I learned all that stuff, and as a demo for like learning it to build a project, I built what I knew as domain subject, right? What they did, and I built that, and I was like, oh, they could probably use this, right? So I asked them, hey guys, are you interested in like maybe buying this from me? And at first they were like a little bit upset with me, because they thought I would like sell it to their competitors or do a competitive, like be their competitor, whatever.
Yeah.
But no, it was just like for me to train, right? And they were like, oh yeah, let's take a look. And they took a look. So they liked it a lot. And then they took me back, and I coded along there. So then they hired a few people to help out. In between, I left again to do DevRel. We can talk also about DevRel in a second. So, and then I got back now where I am as team lead or tech lead, where I take all the major tech decisions, and I help out the team a little bit with project management and development. So a little bit, tech lead is the title, but I do a little bit 3 different jobs at the same time. But
for one salary, though,
lead is the closest. Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, this is still a bit mind-blowing. So you started there as a freelance while still living in Mexico. You eventually moved to Germany to work there. Then you left because you found out more modern things that you wanted to learn, and you came in touch with Vue. Is that like 2016, something like that?
16, 17 must have been something around that.
And then you learned it. You showed it to the company. It was like, hey, look, this is way better. And they were up for it, saying, okay, sure, we'll bring it on, and saw the value in that. So,
I also made quite a substantial amount of money on that deal for my conditions back then. Nowadays I would probably charge more for it, but for the stand that I had back then, it was a very, very good deal for me.
Perfect.
Also very good deal now that I think of it for the company, but I was still very happy about it.
I mean, then it's also win-win. Like if you're happy with the sum you got in the end, and they're happy that they got some like modern technology, I think that's a fair way to go.
Yeah, and on that technology, nowadays there are thousands, or if not tens of thousands, people using it every day. So that's pretty cool.
I think that's the impact part. Like, right, if you do something and you think about like, okay, who's using it, and especially with, I feel like the B2B things is like, sure, it helps like businesses running and nobody knows the brand maybe. But if you then know like, okay, look, there are like big businesses using the software with their end users, or even the software straight away used by end users, and there are like tens of thousands of people every day. That's in a way also, well, like fulfillment. It feels pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to build for nobody, right? For maybe some just internal tool, like nice, I make the company a little bit better, but it's actually fulfilling to have this out in the world and people actually using it, being deployed on a few servers, and like have actual real world program there. And there are also like some downsides to that. We can also talk about that later, downsides of real world software. But it's nice to have it out there.
And I think like I was also talking with certain people looking for jobs in tech, and well, of course, salary and like position and frameworks and in general, like program languages, they make a big difference. I also hear more and more people saying exactly that. Like, okay, I want to make a difference. I want that my work is some kind of impact. I want to be able to, I don't know, show my friends and family like, look, okay, hey, this is what I developed, and it's ideally it's there, and people can like maybe they have the brand in mind, or they know, oh, okay, yeah, I got that. So that's a big part for some people for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And okay, so then you said you left the company again to do DevRel. We'll come to that in a bit. And then you once again joined. So three times, like all good things are a three, we say in German. Yeah. So yeah, and then you said you joined different companies to do DevRel. So maybe for the people in tech that don't have like a clear definition or imagination of what DevRel means, maybe let's start there. So what exactly is DevRel, and what was it for you while you worked on it?
Yeah, so DevRel is for me, it's a big umbrella term for a few different things, but basically it means a communication between the company and developers and vice versa. So like a two-way bridge between the company and the developer. So, and that can take many forms. It can take the form of just doing tutorial videos, writing blog posts, making videos, also going to conferences, talking to developers there and understanding their needs, also showing them what the product can do and take feedback back from people to the company. And so those are like mainly things that I did. So in the first job I had, it was Vue storefront. So it was actually a funny thing where I was already thinking, I want to do something else, like maybe DevRel. I never really mentioned it too much. And Philip Rakowski, the CTO back then of Vue storefront, he contacted me. Oh yeah, you're going to be at Vue.js London, by the way. Vue.js London here is the official mark of Vue.js London.
Yes.
So he was like, oh, I saw you go there. I will also be there. Can we have a talk? Oh, yeah, sure. And then we talked there, and he was like, yeah, we're looking for a developer advocate. So, yeah, which was like bringing the product to the people and making some demos. I did videos, interviews. I'm not even sure anymore. Mm-hmm. But, yeah. So I did that for a year there, and then I switched to another job where I did a little bit different, but still developer relations stuff. So we're developers. They are actually a job platform, but they are most known for their conference. They have a big congress every year in Berlin with 10,000 attendees. And there I helped organize the conference. I helped with the CFP reviews, and I helped execute a format which is called CODE100, which is a coding competition for developers, which was like my baby project when I was there. Super cool, super fun. And that's also like DevRel, like relating to developers or relations with developers, like creating cool stuff for them, cool things for them. So that's basically what DevRel is and what it was for in the companies I work for. Okay,
I think it does a really good overview, especially with two, let's say, very different companies. One more product-based company, and that's one also product, but main also event company. So that sounds pretty interesting. You also said you were hired at Vue storefront. I think now it's called Alokai, or I'm not sure if the pronunciation is right, but
yeah, they changed the name recently because it outgrew the Vue brand.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a bit sad about that, but I mean they had like a React version for ages, and then still being called Vue storefront it's tricky. So the rebranding, of course, makes sense. And there you said you were hired as a developer advocate. Would you say that's the same as DevRel? Because like I've seen like lots of names like developer advocate, DevRel, Dev Education, and for me it's really difficult to like draw a line.
Yeah, I think developer relations or DevRel is the umbrella term for it, and then developer advocate is underneath that umbrella. Developer education is also under that umbrella, and not even sure what else, but I think it is a subset of DevRel, so developer advocate. So I think there's more I at least understood it. You advocate for the developer towards the company a little bit more than like just creating stuff. But that was the title, right? So I didn't actually do that as much as taking the company to the developer and talking with them. So a lot of DevRel is also, many DevRels do go to conferences, either as a partner, when they have a booth there, and they talk to developers to understand their needs and maybe also show the products. But others just go to make presence. They give talks, not even related to the product necessarily, and they just to have the brand there basically representing. So this is like a very indirect way of DevRel. Like you just talk about something, they get to know you, and you are basically the face of the company towards the developer community. So because developers don't want to talk to companies, they want to talk to other developers and just nerd out about tech stuff with them.
Exactly.
And that's exactly where this role comes in. Like you are like one of those people developers want to communicate, relate to, and they make it easier to talk about the company or understand the needs as well.
That makes lots of sense. I also like that like DevRel is like the umbrella term. And as you said, in the end, it's, let's say, quote unquote, just a title. How you fill the role and how people expect you to fill the role are also like different, like very different from what the title is very often.
Yeah, and everyone has it different, right? Everyone uses it different. Everyone does DevRel a little bit different, but in general, just it's a link between company and the developer.
That makes sense. And also, just to clarify that for the listeners, with developers, I mean like the users of, let's say, the company's products. So in terms of like Vue Storefront, other people using Vue Storefront to build applications in their business, their agency, and so on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, because like developers, like sometimes you can think of like, okay, the in-house developers at the company. Probably there are also some like in-house DevRels, but that's
really depends what the product is, right? You could have some, I don't like, let's say there would be a DevRel for Vue.js, so also their in-house stuff, but there isn't DevRel for frameworks, which, now that I think of it, why are there not DevRels for frameworks?
Well, I mean, I guess the DevRels are the core team members there themselves. But
true.
In a way, like, but I see the point. Like companies have that because also they have the means to fund these people, pay these people a salary. For frameworks, you don't really have that. I mean, as also a content creator, in a way, what you describe as DevRel, in a way, I'm also doing DevRel stuff there, but so is everyone giving a talk at the conference about like Vue or Nuxt to a certain extent. But I think the funding part is a big part, because if you have a product, and it's all about the conversion as well. Like, okay, if people say like, hey, this is an amazing product, we want to use it in our company, that can make quite some money eventually. And with frameworks,
that's why frameworks and these tools have ambassadors, which is basically an unpaid DevRel.
Exactly, more or less, or maybe I would say like these ambassadors, or however you call these programs. To me, it always feels like you acknowledge people that are very like interested in the framework. They like to use it. Maybe it's somewhat expert.
Yeah. They are natural contributors, right? They like just have fun with the tool. They are convinced of the tool, which are the best ambassadors. So if you have to pay someone, so maybe they are just there to talk about the product because they are paid to. If you have an ambassador, they are there because they really like the tool and they are convinced of it. So that's one big difference.
Oh, absolutely. But I also know, like from you probably also know Samuel Snopko from Storyblock.
Yeah.
I met him when he was still working at the agency and was like going to all different like Vue.js meetups in Germany and like in general in Europe, doing a little tour. And eventually, because he was always advocating Nuxt and Storyblock, ended up working at Storyblock with like his dream becoming true, now being the head of product. So I think that's also such a good example of like, okay, somebody is really interested in really burning for something, can be a framework, in this case also a product, finds the way there, let's say. So yeah, that's cool. And with DevRel, that means also for you, I guess, less coding in the typical way, because of course you still just had to do demos and examples, but that doesn't necessarily mean Vue anymore? Or let's say you have to also cover other frameworks and platforms then?
Yeah, well, actually, my DevRel or developer advocate role I had at Vue Storefront was strictly to Vue.js, but I didn't code a lot there. And at We're Developers, I coded even less. But one cool thing is that the CODE100, like it's like a coding competition and that sort of stuff. So we have like a very rudimentary like an API, and the API like sends the requester back if the solution was correct or not. And in order to see which participants had the answer right or wrong, so that interface is written in Vue.js. At least back when I was there, it was written in Vue.js. So maybe they replaced it by now, but it was like, it said like, okay, like this player had it correct. And at the CODE100 in Berlin, so I was with the headset connected to production. So I checked my Vue app and then I said, okay, this one is wrong. So they had like a 10-second delay, so it was wrong. I knew that it was wrong, but they didn't. So they waited 10 seconds. So I had enough time to tell production, okay, there's going to be wrong for player B in 5, 4, 3, 1, and then they played like a cue of it's wrong or it's correct, like a visual cue. That was kind of fun, but also extremely stressful back there.
Oh, I can imagine. Yes, I was there. Was like really witnessing the whole process, and I'm really curious about how the whole like CODE100 thing first of all came up, and yeah, what the behind the scenes work like. What you're just telling now of you basically being the link between the API and production and making sure everything goes right. Like, how was that in general? From the idea to the process of like selecting the people, maybe thinking also of the tasks to the eventual like final first big event.
Yeah, so the main idea started from I think from the CEO, Sert, of We're Developers. So he had the idea, yeah, let's do a coding competition, and we did a lot of meetings and iteration. How do we do it? So I came up with a format where we had, I think, 5 different rounds. And then in each round, there would be people eliminated. And all this process, it was very different at the beginning. So it was like, oh, yeah, let's keep all the participants and they stay and they play for points. And the one with the most points wins at the end. But then we decided it's more practical and easy if we just eliminate people after round. So we started with 32 at the beginning. And then like in each round, half out. So there were like some challenges where we said like you have to be the fastest one to have it correct, right? And there was so you had to code something, and so you had what was it? I think an anagram or something. You had to write a function for an anagram. Yeah, so you were given like a few words, and then you have to reply to the API with the response for that, something like that. I don't exactly remember. Yeah, so that was one part, and also like just knowledge part, like some quizzes with technical knowledge, like what's an anonymous function, or who was the founder of the World Wide Web, and that sort of stuff.
Really cool. And so that sounds like very interdisciplinary, and everybody with like coding knowledge could have participated, I guess, right? No matter which language.
Yeah, that was a big point back then. So we were like, yeah, so we had a developer conference, not a JavaScript conference. It would have been way easier to be a specific language, right? Because you can make other challenges, other questions. So yeah, we decided that's why we had an API and not some other thing, like with tests or something, so like JavaScript tests. So that's why we had the API.
But eventually it worked out, and like everybody, no matter if it's like Python or Java or JavaScript or whatever they want, they could probably use it, right?
That was the beauty of, I don't know if they still do it that way. I think I saw JavaScript questions last time when I saw the video, but I'm not really sure. But the main idea was, or the original idea was, to have it agnostic.
Very interesting. And in the end, the whole like CODE100 thing blew up. I saw it like went to different cities as well, to like Amsterdam, to Manchester, to Zagreb, and so on. So it's I think that really sounds like the first run went not only pretty well, but like laid a big foundation for everything that came after.
Yeah, and I'm proud of the team that they brought it further, because I wasn't able to be there in Amsterdam when they did their Amsterdam version, but I saw the videos and people talking about it, and it was elevated again, the quality and the mood and everything. So they stepped it up a notch, which I'm super happy about. So they did a great job taking something that I loved and I made, and they took it to the next level, which is super cool.
So that way your legacy lives on.
Yeah, I'd like to look at it that way.
It totally makes sense. I also agree with whenever I see things, we're like, okay, I built a little part of it. And same with framework libraries. Like, it's always nice when you see they go one step further, one iteration more, doing even better, based on also your contributions. Once again, it's a big part of the fulfillment as well, I think. And so you left DevRel eventually, going back to your old company, let's say. So how did that come? Why did you decide to leave DevRel?
Yeah, the major reason why I left DevRel was just because I didn't get enough coding. Like, even though I did some coding, but it was all like pretty like simple stuff, straightforward stuff, and I really missed the like solving real hard complex problems, like where you're like, oh my god, I have this information here, it needs to go there, it needs to be processed. You have to think about the architecture, because what if in the future a client requests that this is adjustable or something like that. So our software is extremely customizable. We have like 100 buttons to customize stuff, which is pain, but yeah, the customers love it. So it's a necessary evil, and it's actually something that sets us apart from the competition. So we are
like
very
unique selling point.
Yeah, unique selling point. Yeah, and our competitive advantage, so to say. Yeah, so that was one point. I didn't get coding, or not at the level I wanted to. I wanted to just go back to product development, which is something that I really enjoy doing. Another thing is that I really enjoy going to conferences, and when I went to conferences as DevRel, I always felt like I was restricted. Not because anybody told me, oh yeah, like you can't say this or that, but you were there as like you are DevRel, so you are sort of working, even if you're not like technically like there as the official position, but you are DevRel because you are the face of the company, so everybody knows who you are. And I always felt I have to be like super official or something more like, I don't know. And it also didn't like that. I was like, yeah, I just want to be me, and that's it. And one other point is that creativity that you use in the job, especially for DevRel, because you have to come up with many creative ways to engage with the audience, to show people what it is the company does, and you use your creativity all day long. And at the end of the day, if you want to do your own stuff, there's just blank. You just blank when you want to come up with something cool to do, like just to relax. Let's say you just go to side project to relax. Might sound weird to some people. I get off my I get off my coding and I get into some other coding to relax. But yeah, that's the other reason.
I see, and all these three reasons eventually like made you make the decision to go back and being like a full-time programmer again, let's say.
Yeah. So I was working for 4 days at We're Developers. So I had like one day where I could work either on my own stuff or some other client stuff.
Yeah.
So the company reached out again to me like, hey, would you be interested? We are a little bit short on manpower here. Maybe you can do like some little things here, some little things there. I was like, yeah, sure. And then when I started working on it again, I was like, oh man, coding.
I missed that.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. So yeah, I was like, oh man, I need to have this back, right, in my life, coding. And they were like, hey, you know what? Like, if you like this so much, like, why don't you come back? And I was like, yeah, considering it. Let's see the terms. The terms were fine, very good actually. And I was like, yeah, so I think this is the right move for me. So I went as tech lead. So it's not just development; it's also a little bit project management, a little bit architecture, which is part of development, actually. But
your responsibility in the end now.
I'm responsible for what the team produces, which is quite heavy on my shoulders sometimes. But I have to make sure that the releases go as planned. I have to make sure that the bugs are fixed as fast as possible. That sort of stuff.
Were you offered to be tech lead straight away when you came back, or did you expect that, or were you thinking of more like the typical like programming position, quote unquote, that you had before?
Yeah, so I would have loved to be back as developer, but they were like, yeah, we need someone that leads this team because we don't have like a technical enough person that does this. We have a project manager, but he's not technical enough to understand the struggles or to understand when somebody says something to solve a problem for them. So it would be good if you could be the leader of the team. And I was like, yeah, sure. I led a team before in the university, so it's good. So I immediately started with doing some like changes in the processes because there were some processes that weren't sitting right with me, and I enabled the GIF function for our internal messenger immediately. First thing I did.
Very good. Yes.
I was like, this place is a little bit too like, come on guys, let's like, job doesn't have to be like all so like stiff and stuff. Like, let's make a little bit like more fun, right? So let's
really good. And GIFs never hurt. Yeah.
GIFs never hurt. Yeah,
exactly.
And people love it. People use it all the time now.
That's the thing. As soon as there's that people probably didn't know what they were missing.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, where is this? I googled. I was like, yeah, you can just enable it. You just have to generate a Giphy key, and then you're off to go.
Easy. But then eventually you said, okay, creativity, which is one big point that you mentioned. Then not enough coding as well, and the conferences. So now at your new position, you can go to conferences again, being just you, because you're not like being the official representative of or like the official DevRel of your company.
Yes, man. When I went to Vue.js Amsterdam and DevRel, I felt so different.
I can imagine, yeah, because as you said.
The funny thing is nobody ever told me like, be careful what you say, you can't do like, it was all probably in my head and I maybe overthought it, but I was like, oh man, this feels like back like in my own skin, because before I was like with a little bit like of, let's say, a facade, because I'm like working, I have to be professional, and here I could just be like me, like, which I was like, oh man, like I missed this, and I really enjoyed being at the conference again as myself. So that was a huge win going back. Oh yeah,
that's really cool. I will probably see you. Well, first of all, we see you in the replay videos, which will come in a bit, and we'll also have a podcast episode on Vue.js Amsterdam coming in the upcoming weeks.
Nice.
And probably, another conference, as we mentioned, also most likely next year at Vue.js Amsterdam. I'm more than sure you'll be around.
I will. It's actually my favorite conference of the year every time, and it's always my must-do. If I just go to one conference, I go to Vue.js Amsterdam because it's actually the first conference that accepted me as a public speaker.
Wow! And then straight away that big screen.
Yeah, I started 2020 actually as just because everyone was frozen because of COVID, and we just did online stuff. So I was there as a moderator, then some recorded talks and some live talks, and always in combination with Vue.js Amsterdam. And they were also the first one to take me on stage with a talk and take me, actually on stage as moderator. Not true. That was the first time as moderator was Vue.js London. But but I actually, when I went there 2020, I was like, oh man, this is so cool. Like all these people there, I want to be on that stage. And I was finally last year, the first time on the stage as a speaker, which was super cool experience.
Amazing. I didn't know last year. It all felt like so many years back. But yeah, and I share the same. I remember back then we see the screen and the people there, and it's such a vibe. It's pretty amazing.
It's such a vibe. Yeah.
And then, so that box is ticked. That's great. Creativity, I guess, get also better. So when you now do your side projects, do you have a bit of?
Yeah, I actually haven't started. Now you're shaming me. No, I haven't started any side projects yet. But this is because I'm busy with the flying. With you said I'm becoming a pilot. I'm still student pilot. I'm still putting in a lot of effort there. I'm in the final stretch to get it. I think it's like max a month away, maybe that I can get it, or maybe 6 weeks tops. But yeah, I want to I want to focus on that, and then I hope I can do some other projects. But yeah, I feel like more like ideas at least coming to me. I don't execute them, but I want like, oh yeah, I can do this, I can do that. That wasn't before. Very strange. I was like so exhausted with other stuff, thinking about it all the time at work, and I didn't have any ideas, but now ideas are coming back. So yeah, that's also
perfect. And then the last box, the coding part, because you said you want to originally be on as a developer. Now you're on as a tech lead / team lead. So as you said, it's managing, not only coding, and probably some more responsibilities. So how does that go?
Yeah, so at first they hired me for at the end of last year to be strictly developer. So I was full-time developer, and I got like some super cool tasks, like some AI stuff we did, some real-time transcription we built into our video software, super cool stuff. So there I was like, I just got back in, and I got this huge, like I was like vomiting out all the code that I held in for 2 years. And I was like, oh man, I built it so fast. And people were like, holy shit, okay. And then in January, they were like, okay, yeah, we hired you to be developer, but also to be lead. So now I'm tech lead as well. So I code less, and I manage a team, and also, of course, the struggles that come with real life applications. So at the beginning, it's all fun and games, but when you're in it, you remember that it's a real life application. A real life application isn't the same as code snippets on Twitter or as your side project. So there's a lot of technical debt, which is always I just assume always the thing with bigger projects. And yeah.
Okay, so that means you're still coding quite a bit after the initial like code marathon, you could say, like just putting out all the amazing things. And now you have to manage the team. You have to be, of course, responsible for what's happening. And you said it, the legacy code part. I also have the feeling, of course, you never get fully rid of tech debt, but of course you can reduce it if you actively fight against it. But how does it work at your company? How do you, or like at your team, how do you handle like legacy code, technical debt? How do you make sure that it doesn't pile up that quickly?
Yeah. So the thing is, it's already piled up.
Okay, so we're already here.
Yeah. So because you know how it is. You're working in enterprise, and it's like we need the features, we need to satisfy the clients, and then while I was gone for 2 years from the company, it piled up and it never got worked off. What now we are doing is I have a refactoring or a tech debt backlog, which in every sprint I take at least a few things in. Even if we don't have a lot of time, I try to take at least a few small things in. So this sprint, for example, we finally moved from multiple repositories to one monorepo, which I wanted for the longest time, because we have these types in the backend, and I want the types in the front end. And I know there are other ways to do this, like with TRPC and that sort of stuff. But I think that's even more overhead for what we have going on in our code base. And I was like, if we just have a monorepo, we have one package that's all the types, and then we can use it in both front end and back end. That's already a huge thing, because now the back end is typed and the front end is typed with any, so not typed.
Not at all.
So not at all. It's like but now we're adding more and more types, so it's all moving in the right direction. So my approach here for like doing big things in like a complex environment is doing it like really step by step. You don't have to make big change. Like this was a big change, the monorepo thing, but we had it coming. But there's also, like, for example, we have one component that has a few thousand lines of code, and we can simplify it quite easily. So take out and externalize into some other files, and build some split up into some components. I think with little effort, we have like a very overviewable component again, and we have it like better developer experience, because like when you have, I think the component is 4,000 lines big. So it's like our biggest component. And when you like the types run super slow, the type checks run super slow, the prettier runs super slow. So the linter. So there the developer experience actually like factually suffers because it's so big. So everything is slow. The suggestions are slow. Copilot is slow. So so all these little changes, like getting better, like what's his name, the author of Atomic Habits. He was right. Like do like small changes. And the small changes add up. Like you do like something a little bit better here, something a little bit better there, and then if you do that over a period of time, like 3 months, 6 months, a year, then you end up being in quite a better shape than you were a year ago. So that's my go-to move for complex projects like this. You can't go like ramboing in with some huge change. For example, now we have one tech that we also have is Bootstrap Vue. We have Bootstrap Vue, and I think it's not maintained anymore, and it's not really compatible with Vue 3. It's compat mode. You have to enable it. The compat mode gives us some headaches that we want to get rid of. And we are looking now for an alternative. For example, Prime Vue. We are looking at Prime Vue as our primary alternative. But now, how do you do that? How do you change everything into like another component library? Like we use hundreds, if not thousands, of these components. So it's also like we have to integrate the new component library, and then we have to do step by step. We just start with the buttons.
Yeah, probably.
Then we add some text fields or something, like little by little, because if not, we would have to stall production for like 2 or 3 months to just.
That's not possible.
Yeah, so it's like work. The show must go on, right? So yeah. Small steps into the right direction gets you there.
I agree. With regards to the switch of like a component library, I also I like the approach of what you do with like databases or anything else with the widen and narrow approach. So you basically say like, okay, let's have for components just add one more component that encapsulates this, let's say Bootstrap Vue button, and then you use it everywhere. And at some point you say, I replace that component with the Prime Vue equivalent, and it works everywhere. That's let's say the idea way. And while you're still in migration, you can allow, okay, if this is like the old props or the old code, then this still works, or you have like some flag or something with a new thing. So you widen the component to say, I accept both, and at some point you narrow it down again. I think that could also work well.
Yeah, definitely. Now that you mentioned like also database, widen and broaden and making smaller, like that's always my thing. Like when I design something in the database, I was like, oh, we have to have this and this and this, and then I have like a super complex thing, and then I'm like, do we really need it to be so complicated? And then we reduce it, and then we have like a very nice. So it's like a process, right?
Of course, it is.
That takes time. Like you on the whiteboard. I don't have a whiteboard here, but I do it on paper. In the company, we have a whiteboard. I have to go to the company every 2 weeks. It's quite a long drive, but
from Luxembourg to Germany, just so.
From Luxembourg to Cologne, it's like a 3-hour drive, come and back on the same day. So 6-hour drive.
Wow.
And 8 hours work. So it's not my favorite thing to go there.
It's a long time for sure, yeah. But I hope you can spend the time in your car very well, for example, by listening to podcasts or audiobooks.
Yeah. I caught up on all the syntax.
Also really good, yes.
Or DejaVue.
Heard of it.
One other that I listened. How is it called? Web Whiskey and Whatnot. Also like that.
Oh
one.
Yeah. Really
also
cool.
Because I like whiskey, but maybe I'm biased. But yeah, so podcast listening, great for like I have 6 hours of podcasts, so I'm smarter when I get back in the evening. So at least that, right?
Yeah, that's true. At least some compensation for the long commute time.
Yeah.
But so in terms of, I think in terms of being a team lead and tech lead, you said, okay, somehow like you are in a way the bridge between like the business with the requirements. You have responsibility for what the team does. And how do you usually try to balance that out with like, as I said, okay, there are new features that have to be made. On the other side, technical debt. And the developers might also come around with, hey, we have this cool new, I don't know, library or this thing that makes things easier, or can we try this out? And this is a pain point because this 4,000 plus lines component is so slow. So how is your strategy to, like, in a way, make it good for both sides?
Yeah. First, I try to feel out the business side, because like without the business, we can't go. And then I try to feel out how urgent things are, and then how hard the deadlines are. If I see they're not so urgent and the deadlines are not so hard, or a little bit further away, I see I can take in a few more refactoring tasks, right? Or some few other tasks to satisfy the developers in something they want to try out or something like that. So I always first check the business end, and then I try to get the other thing going. It's probably not the best approach for developers, but I think it's still a business, and this is, I always try to balance it out a little bit, but sometimes it's really like we have to do these features, like if not, like they're like competitors are doing something similar, or like we just have to go to market with this, and then you have to table the refactorings for another day. And this is like an issue if it happens often, which in the past it had, but the more you try to avoid it, the better, right? So, and it's usually not like super urgent everything, so there's always a little bit of wiggle room to integrate some things that development wants to have.
That's a fair point. I agree with the business side for sure. Like, without the business part, well, you don't have a job, the team doesn't have a job, and that makes sense. And I also am a big fan of developers are at least a little bit interested in the business side, or understanding why certain things are important, because that can help understanding why, for example, the refactor is once again postponed, or why we need this feature instead of like working on this and that. So I think that also would help a lot.
Yeah, I try to communicate that to my team as good as I can, that look, we have this situation, we need to build this now, and like try to explain why the feature is important to the end customer as well, right? To the person, the end user, right?
Yeah.
So because some things may seem like, do we really need that? Like, you would think that you don't, but some people really, really do, really would love to have it. So we need to build it, and they need to have it because of this and this use case. And then it's like, okay, that makes sense. So also some things that I'm like, oh my God, why are we adding another goddamn switch to customize it? And then it's like, we have this customer that has 100, like we have this Videostele in German. It's like a video terminal which is sitting at our clients, where people can communicate with an operator. And so they want to switch their video terminals to our, and they have 100 of them, and they have this requirement. If not, they won't do it. So it's like, okay, if we do this feature, we have 100 new licenses to give away.
Exactly.
Bang. Easy money.
But if the developer doesn't know that, of course, like, why do we need yet another thing? Is it really necessary? So I think like moving the business and developer sides closer together, it helps out also for both sides. Given, like, if you say, hey, to the business, let's say, oh, there's technological debt, there's tech debt, and like we have to get away from that. We have to reduce it somehow. I think they also can see the value in that by saying, okay, like new features will be implemented faster, less bugs, and so on, so on.
Yeah, the good thing is the company where I work for, I have the carte blanche from the CEO to handle the team however I see fit. So if I see fit to do a certain refactor, I just do it. The only thing they say is, like, you just need to make sure that we are on schedule with our features that we want to ship. The rest, it's you can do whatever you want, basically. So it's up to you. So on one side, very cool, because I can do a lot of stuff. I already changed a lot of processes, upset a lot of people, not a lot of people. I upset a few people on the way, because they're like, do we really want this? Do we really want the monorepo? I was like, yes, you want the monorepo. Just believe
you
me.
will see. Yeah,
you will see. And so that's one good point. So you have a lot of like power, and you can make a lot of change for the team. But at the other side is a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. It's like if it doesn't work, it's probably your fault, right? Because you managed something, better. You did something not so good. So maybe you took too much refactorings in. Maybe you didn't explain the stories well enough to, or you didn't describe the stories well enough to the developers, or you made a bad technical decision or something. But it's also like our culture is very like not how do you say, not blamey. It's like, yeah, okay, we have this issue. It's not like who did it. It's like, who was it? It's more like, okay, we have this issue, now we have to solve it. Like, exactly. You have to come up with a quick solution, an efficient solution to solve it. So it's also not an issue, but it's still like you still want to do a great job and not have to solve an emergency, right? So
of course, especially not every Friday or something like that.
Oh,
so.
Yeah. When I hear people, oh yeah, maybe we can deploy on Friday. Nope, we will deploy on Monday.
That's the best idea. Yeah, let's not ruin other people's weekend. We really don't want that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, coming back to the carte blanche, I think that's pretty cool that you have the opportunity to like, first of all, the opportunity, also responsibility to lead a dev team as you want, because this is actually the opposite of micromanaging, right? It's like, okay, we hired you to do your job. Do your job as long as the output is right, as long as the deadlines we agreed to will be met. Most of the time, of course, mistakes can always happen. Then that's great. So that's something I wish would happen more in companies, because I see so often that like things are micromanaged and things don't go that well, mainly because of that.
Yeah, micromanagement is not great. I also put a lot of effort into not micromanaging my team, even if I'm like, oh my God, no, don't do that, do it this way. But I'm like, okay, like let's not micromanage stuff. Like it's like, yeah. I think one reason why they do this is because they know me for a long time. I have been working with them for like through this legacy project. Then I brought them back this modernized thing, and now I'm leading it. So they know my skills. They know what they are buying. So I think,
and you know the inside outs, right? Also, you knew before. Okay, there was lots of legacy code. You knew what would expect you in a way.
Yeah.
So that also helps. Plus the trust that came over the years. Yeah. And all in all, I think it's such an amazing story to eventually go back for the third time to the company, eventually becoming a team and tech lead, with especially all the things before, all the experience gained. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. Oh wow, we went over the time. You said like often you have half an hour. You try to shoot for half an hour.
Like half an hour, 45 minutes. Here we are at over an hour. Yeah, the longest episode so far in DejaVue, and that might be the time to wrap it up, because there are a few more things on the list, maybe for another episode. Like we could talk a bit more about your personal brand, for example. We could talk more about aviation. Though it's slightly off topic, but I'm really curious. So,
oh yeah, man, I can talk hours about that. So let's not start.
Yeah, let's keep it for another episode. Is there anything? Is there anything else that we missed out? Anything is like, hey, why didn't we mention this? Then that's your chance now, Marc.
No, we went pretty thorough through all the major points that we laid out to. So I'm pretty happy with the content we have here.
Perfect, great. Then last but not least, Marc, where can people follow you?
Oh yeah, I'm most active on X or Twitter. At just in the show notes there will be my link. Indeed. So that's my DMs are open if you have any question about anything. I don't post as much anymore as I used to, but I still post memes, which is
very important. Yes, exactly.
Very important. I post jokes, tech jokes, but also useful stuff, not only stupid things. And I try to be helpful. So, but that's where you can find me. I'm also on Instagram, but don't really use it that much. So X is the way to find me.
Perfect. Then, thank you so much, Marc, for coming along, sharing your story, your experiences, and I'm super stoked about what all the people think, what their input is, and hope to see you very soon again, either in person or another episode, another call. Who knows? Thanks for coming along.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having me, Alex, and thanks for everyone tuning in.
Of course. Then, everybody, see you in the next episode of DejaVue or the last ones. Keep in touch and stay tuned, folks. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.